week on this April 6th. That's right, already 6 days into the year. Had an incredible Easter weekend. I hope you did as well. A lot of family fun, a lot of family time the last couple of weeks, and I've been very grateful. Family, when they show up, they can be huge in your life. You've got good family, good for you. Take advantage, because you don't know how each and every day is going to go. Appreciate and celebrate the people in your life. It's a rare thing to be able to do. Look at all of these happy people. If you're not a subscriber or member of the Garden channel, you're going to want to check it out. The Garden channel is going great guns these days. That garden place. Once again, huge shout out and thank you to the first Dragon Queen, who made basically the entire graphics package just by painting me a simple sign, which I love. I carry it around the garden and hang it over my head if I'm going to do filming. So look at all these great folks in the chat. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday to all of you. A lot of you have been here since, well, before the crack of dawn. Like Cat Slave here. Good morning. From the Green Machine side of the equation, along with Longest Parsec, the beautiful Deepo 101, Tobak, aloha. And, of course, the amazing Dr. Jill Powers, who, rides herd over there. Look out. You got Low Spec Linux Gaming. Good morning, Jeff. Along with Corporeal Being. Good to see you, friend. We've got the phenomenally generous Tender Warriors 68 gifting 5 CultureCasino memberships. We are trying to get to that magical 1,000. We've been there once, guys, and then we slid. But if we can get to 1,000 regular subscribers to the channel, members, I should say, members to the channel, that basically takes care of everything. So there's that. Wow, we got so much. We got so much good stuff going on in the world. Texas 84 is in the house. D-Bud Martin is promoting that garden place. Carl says happy Easter Monday. Indeed, to not just me, but the Culturians at large. Penny, good morning, along with JPR PH1. The amazing Lord Thoth, who's been here for, I don't even know, as long as I've been here. He's been a reg forever, a trusted friend. Some of you make sure that crazy things don't happen in the chat. By the way, Loki made me a wrench on his channel today. I'm like, all right. Kaladin 910, everybody's favorite radio station. Good morning. We got Barry, the Music Man, who's been working too hard. It's good to see you, Barry. Hope you're doing well. And, of course, we got me and my monkey. All right. Had to take my car into the shop this morning. It shredded a belt. This is a no bueno thing, friend. No, that's no fun. Man, it makes a heck of a racket, doesn't it? Serpentine belts are the worst because then everything stops. It's like, oh no. All right, Snort's here, our favorite polar bar. Good to see you, buddy. And a few other folks. Walter Tomaszewski in the house. 5-post and SC. Will it show up for CC to read? Okay, so usually super chats, depending upon the volume of traffic of the chat before I go live, I usually only have that 10 minutes before showtime. Sometimes I'll have farther back than that. Sometimes no. Holy cow, Lieutenant Giratina's in the house. Good to see you. We got to upgrade. All right, morning to you. Turns out the reason the rumors of Paramount bringing back the Snyderverse is due to the funds the Saudis are lending to the Ellisons. Oh, well, you know what? They like the Snyderverse. But I tell you what, I just take the filters off and stop with the slow motion. Good gravy. All right, folks, we're in the last moments of the countdown, getting into the start of the day. And I want to say thank you. Thank you to y'all. You worked so very hard. We got the lovely Georgia Peach. Good morning, dear. I hope everything went well this weekend. O.C. Dobbins checking in from the belly of the beast, my friend. I hope you are staying up with everything. Goodness gracious. We got some reunion news we're going to start out with, but not usually something that, I get terribly worried about. I always figure if, the writers aren't working, authors aren't. Anyway, let's get to it, guys. We're going to cook because 6 minutes starts now. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, wherever you are, whenever you're watching. Thanks for checking out 6 Minute Daily. We have a lot to talk about. Not a lot of time to do it in. And we've also got a marvelous Monday to get into. Got lots of stuff that's happening later today, including Midnight's Edge in the morning. I will be there for the first hour to do box office. You don't want to miss it. But what I didn't miss was the fact that the threatened strikes, they're not working anymore. So you have a deal. The WGA and the studios agree to a new longer contract, which actually favors the WGA. It doesn't really favor Hollywood. It's also tied to funding of the healthcare plan that they, have difficulty funding in the first place. Lots and lots of issues with that. I want to say a quick shout out again to Tinder Warrior. Thank you for the gifties this morning. All right, Caveat Ties is probably going to show up any moment now. Juliet is here, and look at all the great people in the chat, and look at the great movie. That's right, the Super Mario Galaxy movie powered up with 48 million. If you got up early, you saw the first video I dropped. If you remember, you saw it last night. We're talking a little bit about the box office here. It's starting up at 48 million, but it's way over that now, at least domestically. And globally, this movie kicked the pants off of Hoppers and any other garbage trash-tastiness out there. Disney sucks, okay? Sorry. I mean, you take a look at this, and right now they're looking at, as of the moment last night that they reported this, or even on the 4th, which would have been on... I think that was Saturday night. It was aiming for 371 globally. It's at least 372. I think it's like 380. We're going to get updated numbers this afternoon, but we're going to talk about this in depth on all of your favorite shows today. Look, 370 million global debut is a big deal. All the trades are covering it. Of course, they're all owned by the same company. And at least they don't sound as stupid as they did on Thursday when the film, was, starting to really gain momentum. With the Wednesday early morning previews, this film really showed you what it was worth, and I was really proud of being able to do a review on something I actually got joy from. Joy, happiness. That's right, just like Project Hail Mary. Speaking of which, let's talk about a former Disney star, and then he battered his girlfriend. We got Jonathan Majors out there falling through a window. He went to the Daily Wire to do an action movie for them, and the producers are downplaying the accident amid the crew strike for this particular picture. This is kind of weird. Not great news, but at least he's still acting. Is the Daily Wire the last place you go before you're done with Hollywood? I don't know. I know this. Lisa Vanderpump is down playing the Dakota Mortensen fiasco, saying she didn't have a big storyline in the Vanderpump Villa despite the Mormon wives depicting otherwise. Well, yeah, just get out. There's a lot of get outs going on in Hollywood. You guys notice that? Look, we got workers planning to halt the strike at major U.S. meatpacking plant and resume negotiations. Yeah, because a paycheck's important, and they're losing business, and the business is going to lose suppliers. Suppliers are going to go elsewhere. There are other meatpacking plants around the country. This is a problem. We also have people wearing masks, which means I wonder if they're here legally. That's the new thought process for this guy. European ministers call for profit caps on energy companies. Ooh, that's not interesting. That's not a very interesting idea. But we've seen gas jump up pretty substantially. The Iran war has definitely driven the prices up, despite the fact that the United States specifically doesn't need foreign oil. No. Sorry, I had a cough there. I had to mute. Let's keep going. We got U.S. employers adding surprisingly strong job numbers. 178,000 jobs last month. Of course, Oracle just got rid of 30,000 of those. Yikes. And we're doing pretty good despite a weak February. Oh, hey, this Melonia guy, she's awesome. She's hailing the arrest of top crime family suspect after raid in an Italian resort. Lots of stuff going on in Italy right now, and in other European countries as they slowly get out of lockstep with the EU, which, again, never was supposed to have the kind of far-reaching power it collectively grabbed. Oh, let's take a look at this. Oh, it's time for Artemis 2 to take a break. Take time to break Apollo 13's distance record with the ellipsis circulation of the moon. Congratulations to Artemis and crew. Well done, NASA. And to our space folks, keep going. We need to get to other planets soon. we're not. We got to do it before we finish wrecking this one. So pressure's mounting on whatever the guy's name is anymore, Kanye, to be pulled from his headline role at the Summer Festival in London. Why? You let one of the most reprehensible people do some ridiculous chant in your country. I forget what the idiot's name was, but I think we blocked him from traveling here. And you want to go after Ye? Come on now. Come on. Screenwriters Union, as I said before, in Hollywood studios have that 4-year agreement. That takes care of everybody, I hope. We'll see. At least as far as writers go. I got a tickle in my throat. And finally, I had to go all the way to X to get this. A New Jersey State trooper rescued an abandoned bear cub on I-78. And there you go. There he is. It just collected him, and he lost his way. Couldn't find his mama, and then just kind of crashed out in the seat of the patrol car. Cool stuff. And Corporeal is correct. Decentralize your meat, guys. It's a good plan. I want to say thank you to the $5 super duper chat from the First Dragon Queen, who's always generous, saying, I dropped my review this morning. Oh, I got to watch that. Turned into talking with Ron. Awesome. LOL. Last Supper. Last Supper for a little while. Polar Bar. Last Super for a little while. Excuse me. Polar Bar. Breaking things again. Hugs for all. Oh, I understand, dear. I hope everything's going okay. I look forward to watching your thoughts on various things, so I will be popping over to take a look at what you dropped. Illegals can go on strike. That's true, Texas. I know. Anyway. Look, if you're here legally, we need you. If you didn't bother with the legal process, we don't. You've already indicated criminal tendencies with that. It's not desperation. The get in line, take the opportunity, and make the most of it if you get it. It's not that hard to follow the rules in the United States. I know. It's really crazy. But no, as I said, corporeal being is correct. Decentralize your meat. Go to your local farmer and meat cutters. That's where I go. I go directly to the meat market that's like a block and a half away. Sometimes the grocery store. A lot of the grocery store stuff, like we had big sales on thick ribeyes this week, and that's impossible to pass up. But one of the things I'm gonna show you on that garden place is butchering your own meat. I know that might not be appealing to some of you, but if you go all the way to Costco and you buy a side, or a half or a quarter, you really only need a quarter. But if you buy a quarter and you just take a look at spending that several $100s, and then by the time you've divided it up, you've got all kinds of stuff there. So anyway, it's amazing. Profit caps always work. Well, yeah, I think one of the things is we already know the oil industry is gouging us, so we need to stop that. We also need to be recognizing we have a huge new supplier that we're operating with all U.S. assets until they seized it in Venezuela. They took over America's oil industry in Venezuela. Again, these energy crises are always caused by politicians, and they need to be stopped. So Trump needs to make sure that the oil from Venezuela is priced around, I don't know, $30 a barrel, maybe $40 a barrel. We need to get back to what we pay is reasonable number, or what we pretend to pay, which is what I'm afraid of in this country. You're basing it off of OPEC kind of pricing, and you shouldn't. We produce our own oil. We don't need to worry about this anymore. It's every other country that does. We've spent an enormous amount of blood and treasure, doing what we do regularly to protect ourselves from the bad guys of the world, including Iran. And the thing is, the Persian people are phenomenal. When they were free, when I was just a boy, like I said, I mean, they looked like any other, Western nation. Israel looked like any other Western nation. Iran and there were a lot of countries in the Middle East that weren't farming poppies; they were farming crops, actual food. I'd really blame some American interventionism for the CIA essentially having the folks move from food crops to poppies. There's a lot of problems to discuss when it comes to that. And as Fat Elvis says, drill, baby, drill. Yep, that plan always works. Graph Webb, the most consistent person on the interwebs, reminds you, for friends' sake, hashtag cancel Disney Plus. Indeed, I agree with that. I agree with that. Let's see what else is happening. Look at these great people. JPRPH1 saw PHM on last Friday. Awesome. It was an extra good Friday for you. For the rest of us, about I think 4 p.m. my time. Uh, it is done. And if you understand those words, you understand. The SEC to AUX. I don't know. Let's see. Hello to all from DC. Well, Bruce Newhouse, thanks for being here all the way from the District of Columbia. That's right. A lot of people, believe it or not, this is the other problem. If you come to this country, you learn why things are called what they are, what the history of those places are. You realize in elementary school, we were being taught all of this stuff. We had government in elementary school. We understood the three branches of government, the separate but equal powers, the idea of the constitutionally governed rule of law in this country, and what all other laws were drawn from and had to be considered constitutional or could be challenged and eliminated if they weren't. You have the state of California with a lot of unconstitutional laws right now that I'm surprised are not being eliminated left and right. So it is finished is also the other way to say it. Corporeal is correct, especially if you're Catholic. What else is out there? Culture Casino, please. It's Daily Rhino. That's right. Republican in name only. Indeed. Too many of those. John Thune needs to be primaried. In fact, we need to remove him now. We need to remove a lot of these people that are absolutely scumbags. Tired of them. You are do nothings, preventing any kind of appointments, preventing recess appointments. I don't think there's ever been another president who's had a leader in a position of power in the majority that's ever done that before. What a scumbag piece of human. Hate that guy. And I hate's a strong word for me, guys. I'm just saying. All right. But that little bear cub got rescued, went to a rescue, by the way, on the bear story. Thank you, Juliet. The bear story is something that's always here. If I can find a good bear story, I always put it at the end. But the state trooper basically rescued that cub, took it to a rescue, and kept it from getting hit on the highway. Bear car accidents happen far too frequently. Anyway, it is what it is. Oh, my goodness. I love Mondays. I love Mondays. Jill Power says, we got good beef, chicken, and pork, but we need more sheep farms here. Lamb is expensive coming from New Zealand. Yeah, well, New Zealand's pretty stocked full of livestock. They do a good job over there. Dean, what's up, brother? Point of order, Culture Casino. Venezuela did not take American oil. They took, hang on. They took oil from American companies. Yeah, I'm not a fan of them. Well, those American companies put together all the infrastructure to pull out the oil, to refine the oil, and everything else. I'm not a fan of the companies either, but those were essentially American assets. We were the ones responsible for putting the technology there in the first place. So I'm getting you're correct in all regards. So I'm not a fan of Venezuela either, but I'm telling you what, a managed government that is more westernized is better. Freedoms in countries really important. Brazil needs their freedoms restored. We again, North and South America, we collectively, and I hate to use that word because a lot of people think it's all communism all the time, but as a group, we could basically not do anything, trade with anybody else. We got nothing anybody's got. We got no need for anything anybody's got. CIA is evil. Yes, they are. I think that doesn't even have to be said. There's the lovely Cynthia Carter. Good morning, dear. I hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Yeah, I think. Rabbits are very easy to raise for meat. That's true. Yeah, especially if you hutch them and you give them a lot of space and you let them roam a little freely in that hutch space. You build a decent sized hutch, something way overbuilt for them, and you can get a zillion billion rabbits. It's insane. But look, I mean, when we get to Tennessee, goats are going to be my little lawnmowers, and I'm just gonna move them around pasture to pasture. The goal is to get about 20 acres. That's really all as I get older, I know my limits. I think that's all I'll be able to manage. And I don't need a big house. I just need outbuildings to support my hobbies. And of course, I'm going to be building studio facilities and a sound stage there as well. So, yeah, schoolhouse rock. Yeah, one of my favorite educational tools. Um, Man, remember elbow room. Got to get you. Retard watch. Why the lipstick? I don't know. Why lipstick? I don't know what that is. But hmm, weird. Chris Dickerson says, "Culture. You don't hate him. You hate what he does." That's true. Thank you, Chris. That is a better perspective, better way of looking at things. We don't want do nothings. You got sent there to do a job. You're supposed to represent your constituency, not the people who pay you for lobbying or the lobbyists themselves or anything else that you're involved in that's shady. I really do believe the majority of the people in both the House and the Senate are doing insider trading. They have information we don't have, and they act on it all the time. Nancy Pelosi is 100% right all of the time. She kicks Warren Buffett's butt, which is insane. He retired, right? And you're supposed to get something different from him. And you know what? Warren Buffett's also behind, along with George Soros. They're also like just funding these no kings baloney sausage days. Good gravy. Hello, there's Caveat Ties. I told you he'd be here. I told you. I told you. Jan Monroe says, my best car story is about going over what I thought was a box on a rainy night. My dad found a gator skin on my undercarriage the next morning. I have to tell you, I thought I hit a speed bump one time. This is an old story. It was not a speed bump. Oh, no. Anyway. Yeah. Happy Boxing Day. Isn't that after Christmas? Sander Hammerschlag's in the house. Good to see you. Merry Christmas. The old savings and loan. Saunders says, la, 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 la. La, 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 la. That ranch place coming soon, maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna treat it kind of like a homestead, but it still is gonna be that garden place. The neat thing is I'm gonna be able to start from the beginning. So people will literally be watching as I slowly build out the outside crops, then we go into the greenhouse stuff. I'm gonna try to set up like no more than 1 acre worth of greenhouse space. That's if you ever think about that, an acre is a lot of land. But if I'm going to be in a climate or an environment that has actual seasons, 4 seasons a year, I'm going to need to be able to heat and cool and care for those crops year round. So I think that's going to be the most expensive part of the land, to be fair. And it'll all be because of you. I mean, I can't do any of this without you guys. I really can't. Goats do well here. Lots of them, says Evie. Evie Day Corgi. God, I love Corgi dogs. They're just so great. Bless them. Bless them, Lord. They are fun and cute. They're super cute. Jack Russell Terriers are fun, but they have too much energy. If I'm going to manage a dog, and I will have one, it'll be a Belgian Malamute. Of the 5 farm dogs, one of those is going to be a Belgian Malamute. You need a leader of the pack that is going to listen and at times, when needed, defend. So there's that. Are you going to cut your own farm meat? Of course I will. Morgan King. Well, good to see you, brother. I hope you're doing well up there in Canada with Randall Orzer and all my favorite Canadian peoples. The beautiful people, the beautiful people. There's Deeple. We need to make lobbying illegal. I've always been in that position. Once I figured out that it's paid bribery, I was like, I'm super pissed about this. Unions got corrupted because of lobbying. And again, this is the other problem with farming. Farming became a subscription model for farmers, and now, in order to survive, you have farmers literally farming the subsidy if they're trying to make their land work for them, and it doesn't give them an incentive to have proper stewardship over the land because they never have a chance to properly build up their soil. They always have to use outside inputs from Haber-Bosch processing and everything else to get fertilizers. Then you have the evils of Monsanto and their smart crops, which are all genetically programmed. And you can literally lose your land if one of those seeds gets misplaced on your property and they discover it. They will sue you into oblivion, even if it had nothing to do with you. If a bird picked the seed up, flew a couple of acres, dropped one of their seeds on your land, you're screwed. I hate that. I think that's problematic. Snowdub in the house. Go check out Snowdub Music and Entertainment channel. Snowdub's a lot of fun. He's the more adult version of Floral. You have Floral, who's for all ages, and then you have Snowdub for adults at night, late, with bad words, but fun and humorous and a good time. We need Canada's resources, like Tucker Carlson said, and we need to liberate them. I don't understand why we aren't. It's rightfully ours. Yeah, well, I mean, look at it this way. They still recognize the monarchy. And they do a lot of foolish stuff. They were really the model for bringing in a lot of illegals to change the demographics of given areas to hand it over to just one manner of thinking. The English did it too. They're totally screwed. That's ridiculous. All right. This is a little bonus time. In case you were wondering, no, we're not. We didn't do a real true 6 minutes. We aren't going to go a full hour, but we're going to go a little longer. I'm going to talk to you. That's why I do a live show, guys. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we do bonus time usually. Usually it can be up to an hour, sometimes longer. We went really long on Friday. I think we went an hour and 15, 16 minutes. I feel guilty about doing that, running over other shows. I want to pass you along through the crowd. Today, you're going to go check out that garden place. Excuse me, that park place. See, there's going to be a lot of mistaking the channels now. Man, look at all these great people out there. Yeah, caveat ties. You have to be very, you have to be very careful with Belgian Malinois. You really do. You have to train them up from the time they're puppies, and they can be just sweet, loving dogs. But they have this really insane singular focus. You don't usually get that outside of, let's say, Schipperkes, which are Belgian boat dogs. Notice how I like a lot of Belgian dogs. And if you train them in a foreign language, Dutch, then you're the only one that can control your Malinois, right? You all your commands are. I could train them in German if I wanted to. But if you train them in a foreign language, it's less likely somebody's going to know the command structure or the language, especially in the United States. So, anyway, lots of reasons to do stuff like that. Muqtadir Ali, good to see you, friend. Smurfs are the gardener's best friend. You're smurfing right. Yeah. I'm going to have garden gnomes in the garden. What do you guys think of that? You think that'll be fun? Yeah. Texas 84, generous as always with a $5 super duper chat saying, watch the potato vid. Are printed cardboard boxes like Amazon bad for the soil? Well, some people think yes, some people think no. Opinions do vary. I think it's so insignificant compared to the other garbage that's in soil. The input of the cardboard is good. I like it as a weed barrier. I'm less likely to use Chinese cardboard in the beds or in the in rows or in planters. In fact, I oftentimes will just recycle it, toss it in the blue bin. But otherwise, I love cardboard. I have stacks and stacks of it. I have stacks of newspapers. And newspapers are not printed on toxic ink, or I should say, with toxic ink. They stopped doing that long ago. I mean, it's disposable, but it reincorporates into the earth. You are actually recycling when you do that. You can turn the cardboard, anything brown will turn into soil, which includes leaves. We talked about that. You don't want to use leaves from toxic plants like eucalyptus or something like that, but leaves from citrus trees because they're drop leaves year round. I've got more than enough constantly. I have two input trees that are not citrus that also just it's amazing. You can get leaves from bushes. I mean, I'm going to take inputs from everywhere as long as I'm not increasing toxicity. I'm going to take every input I can. And look, that includes chicken droppings, goat droppings, all kinds of stuff. If you have a compost pile, that's where you put that kind of waste. You want to be careful, especially if you have animals that got issues. You don't want to introduce that into your soil, but you do want to take advantage of what you have. Chicken droppings are used in nitrogen cycle specific farming around the world. People put chickens over aquaponic systems, and the chicken droppings fall into the pond with the fish, which usually have hybrid bass or perch or something like that. And then that water is then cycled through the hydroponic part of the system, the aquaponics, just do all the digestion. The nitrogen that is in the chicken poop and the fish poop and any of that, that's all broken down through a biological process called denitrification or nitrification. It's just part of the nitrogen cycle, and it breaks down into multiple parts. You have several different bacterias that work in a system like this, and as long as they're present in the filter media, they take care of all the problems. So, um, it's two different bacteria that do that. One goes from ammonia to nitrite. One goes from nitrite to nitrate. Nitrates are ultimately a food source for plants, so there's that. Yeah, and so thank you, Texas, and thank you to Walter Tomaszewski for $1.99. Look at all the generosity today. You guys are popping off. I love it. Love it. All right. Walter says, how do studios work license rights with DVD producers? Well, that's a good question. The best person to talk with on this subject, and we can pose it to Tom this morning, is over with Tom Connors on Midnight's Edge in the morning, starting in just a few minutes, 8:17. Let's see, mm, we got about a half hour till they start their show or so. No, about 40 minutes. We got about 40 minutes until they start, maybe 45 minutes. So yeah, that's a good question for Tom. If I remember, I'll ask it. That farm place, yeah, I might have to change it. I might have to change it. Michael Moose, I love that name. That's cool. That farm place, it will be. Yeah, you want to avoid E. coli. No bueno. Yeah. There are unfortunately a lot of E. coli uh, outbreaks have been because of unrinsed produce. The people that we needed to farm produce or pull the produce, like lettuces and things like that, they put their own inputs in the ground. Not great for humans. There's Randall Orzer. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. Yeah, yep, we are definitely going to be covering the box office over on Midnight's Edge in the morning, and then I'll be moving over to that Park Place live and hanging out with everybody. What is a digital video disc? What is a DVD? Well, there you go. DVDs, Blu-rays, 4K Blu-rays. Um, uh, Interesting how they doubled the density of the disc by putting things on both sides and creating multiple layers that they could essentially engrave information on. Um, but it's a physical media, and we need to hang on to it for as long as we can. Retro Meister, what's up? You will own nothing and you will be happy. Incorrect. And that's why we got to get rid of the thinking of somebody like Klaus Schwab and the guy that's leading Anthropic. Anthropic gave their code away in a debugging thing that they did recently on an update. So you can go find cloud code right now out there and build your own AI. Have fun. So there's that. Yeah, human droppings are no bueno. Sorry, not a fan. Mine, 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 or nine. Nine? Nine. The Schweinhund. Anyway, Dr. Jill is back. She's also front. Read by nature. What's up? Garden Gnome Casino. There you go. Oh, digital versatile disc. Okay, fair enough. I am not eating no bugs. I'm gonna grow some bugs. I like earthworms. They're good. In fact, that's one of the things I think I talk about a little bit on these potato beds. You want to bring in your own if you're gonna do an elevated raised bed like I am, so it's off the ground, so I don't have to bend over anymore. You're gonna want to bring add your own earthworms to that because they're really just they're free engineering and they're soil engineers. Yeah, you wouldn't think they're that sophisticated. They're not, but everything that they do, they take all the work that the microbes do, all the little good guys, as I call them, and they redistribute them throughout the soil. And they do that by with their castings. So, um, if you watch the potato video where I plant the world famous purple potatoes, I'll be adding potatoes to that bed. But I've got two more potato boxes to plant, and then I'm moving on to a planter replacement for all of my tomato um, plants. Like right now, I think I have over 25 different tomato plants. I have a few double ups as far as the species go or types, but I'm really starting to invest in multiple types of heirlooms. I need to experiment with their survivability in summer and winter. I need to understand what their variations are. But I need to put them in a bed. Large beds provide better opportunities than large pots. You have the intercommunication network of roots that intertwine and tangle, and um, you know, if one plant gets sick in a bed, believe it or not, the information. I know this sounds like it's impossible, but somehow the information's communicated to every other plant in that root network, and so they really, it bolsters up their immunity, right? Which you should be doing through good soil in the first place. But I'm going to teach you how to prevent blossom end rot, which is a problem for tomatoes. But I'm going to rebuild that. So all those pots, first of all, they're plastic. I'm getting away from plastics entirely. You're going to see, I think maybe later this week, I'm going to show you how to build an ula, and then you're going to start to see that I'm adding those everywhere. That reduces the watering schedule. It allows for you to be a little more lax. All you do is pay attention to whether or not there's water in the ula, which waters your beds for you. You just put one every X number of feet. So yeah. Let's see. John, the Beagle Dad says, CultureCasino, who would you grow food? Oh no, wait. How would you grow food on the Martian? I think, believe it or not, for as interesting as that story element was in The Martian, you can't deviate too much from that. Urine is initially starts sterile unless you have bad system stuff going on, but urine usually starts off very sterile. It works with it's broken down very quickly by microbes. You can get added benefits from mixing it with some kind of a natural sugar. Most people use unsulfured molasses. You create a cocktail in a jar with like bacteria. So um, yeast, brewer's yeast. Um, you mix all that together. Purified water, brewer's yeast, sugar, that creates an immediate reaction, and that's where all your microbes are going to go feed you. Again, the molasses is the food source, a form of sugar, um, and then you, I think you could with the urine mixed in and a few other things, you could create. Man, you wouldn't have wood, so that's a disadvantage. You can't really build the soil over time without wood. I think that I think one of the things that if I were gonna do a Mars mission, I would try to introduce the idea of trees in the structural system that they're putting together. Um, and of course, you can easily make mushroom compost because you can grow mycelium like crazy. Off of the essential building blocks that again are found not just in human waste, but in other types of products. Cardboard and mycelium make more mycelium. Just make a little blended cocktail of that. I'm going to show you a lot of these things. So, But I think one of the reasons, and people overlook this, the reason that the Boring Company is so important to Elon Musk isn't to dig tunnels for Vegas, guys, or even in Florida. I think I think people overlook that we're going to be living underground. A lot of I wouldn't say the moon base necessarily, but we're safer there. You don't have to adjust so much for the kind of radiation we're going to be exposed to. Um, but it's going to be more comfortable. You're going to have more stabilized temperatures. If you want a warmer environment, you just heat the area around it, just like here on planet Earth. Right now, you go down about 10, 12 feet. The temperature of the Earth is always a constant temperature. It doesn't matter if you're, in anywhere in North America, you go down 10 feet or so in the right soil conditions, you have a stable temperature, somewhere between 55 and 65 degrees, depending upon the part of the country and the composition of the soil. So if that's the case on here, we're making assumptions it'll be the case there. So having these giant boring machines on Mars that's a no brainer. We'll dig in, and then we'll be able to secure airlocks and other structural elements, um, and have these bases. Now, when we first get there, there's going to be armies of robots, guys. That's the other thing people don't understand. Optimus, everything that Musk has done has been purposely done. So they're just going to continue to build um, underground structures before one human even gets to the planet. I think you're going to have like a 2-year mission of just armies of robots with raw mats. You're going to have a lot of 3D printing. We can 3D print multiple materials. It doesn't just have to be ABS plastics or anything like that. They have metal 3D printers now, um, and we're just need to going to get back to some of the basic technology building blocks that people don't remember we had. Um, you don't need a cement plant. You can take the existing soil on that um, planet, or even on this planet, and add some mineral content to it. And maybe you don't have to do that at all, but you can either create compressed earth style walls or bricks or whatever. There's just and then you reinforce that with a lining so that you don't have the accidental exchange of atmosphere. That's a lot of stuff that can be done. And again, all of this is because Musk is going to do it. And if you're going to burrow giant holes in Mars, you're going to have a lot of extra dirt. Your material building blocks are largely a wherever you go. The only thing that we need in abundance that we don't have in Mars is water. Although there is ice, there's conversations about the ice, but that's a whole other conversation. Queen Glamazona, what's going on? Saying this horrible movie is making a fortune is a travesty. Now you sound like Grace. And gosh, what a terrible take, guys! If you haven't watched my video on this, when you're done here and before you head over to Midnight's Edge in the morning, do check that out. Yeah, do check that out. Hey, Mr. DeMark says they are already trying to ruin Mario Galaxy by spoiling the movie on YouTube, and YouTube is just letting it happen. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. If I were Universal, I'd be irritated by that for sure. Anyway, I can talk about plants all day. You guys, you know, is what it is. The Phantom says this was made by people who absolutely didn't care. What was made by people who absolutely didn't care? Ah, the cotton farm. There you go. I understand the circle of life. Most people don't. Like, if you want to understand the value of the nitrogen cycle and how we get from point A to point B and how food is part of that, and how food is essentially is in support of all life. It it grows the inputs. Again, you can either go to a farm, you can get an aquarium. If you learn the basic nitrogen cycle from just owning an aquarium. Um, it's not that hard. Most of the stuff isn't that hard. I'm gonna just show you. That's the whole point of the garden channel. I want to show you a. It's not hard. B. It's a lot of fun. I spent. It was not a cool day yesterday, but it wasn't blazing hot, and I spent 80% of the day outside, not in the greenhouses, just out on the land doing work. I have ordered. I'm going to show this on that garden place, but I ordered Bocking 14, which is a type of comfrey. It's called English comfrey. But and the reason it's called Bocking is because that was the location of the farm where they were experimenting. I can't not remember the guy's name. They were experimenting with comfrey as an input crop. And the problem with comfrey originally was it was terribly invasive, like bamboo. I don't know if I explained this before or not. I've been lecturing my family on stuff like this for a while, but comfrey has what few plants don't have. They have just a giant, deep diving taproot. Um, Taproots, things that can go very deep into the earth, they can farm minerals and bring them to the surface. They do that by bringing up their leaves. The bringing them up to feed and nurture the plant, and then they drop their leaves, or you can harvest them. Um, in the case of comfrey, it can be used as a chop and drop uh, crop, which is something that basically you create your own inputs on your own land. So you're not buying bags of fertilizer anymore. You're just pulling stuff up from the ground. So anyway, one of the big problems though is that almost all the other comfreys were invasive because they would drop seeds and it would just grow everywhere. And because it's a rhizome based or root based plant that can you can basically divide the roots forever and create new plants. As long as you have the little nodes on there to do. It's the same thing with grapevines. When we plant a new vineyard, let's say, you're planting roots. That's all you're doing. So really, to get comfrey going, you just need cuttings. Anyway, Bocking 14 specifically, and it's basically just the plant 14 is how it's, and that's how it became English comfrey. Um, but anyway, Bocking 14, they have sterile seeds and they draw pollinators like crazy. So if you have a normally unusable portion of land or someplace that has a ton of shade, planting it like a on the north side of a wall or something that's gonna, block the sun, they're perfectly fine. As long as it's outside, there is light, that plant's gonna grow. It's gonna drive the taproot down, and it's gonna just dig up all the mineral content from way down low. It brings it up to the surface in the leaves. When the leaves fall, they melt away really quickly because of the they don't they're like protein. There's not a lot of fiber content in them, and they melt. Like in fact, if you're going to start a compost pile, comfrey would be the way to get started because all of a sudden you have the microbes going to town. And if you create a compost tea of it, you water comfrey, you can water the comfrey tea right into your stuff. The longer it ferments, the better. It does smell, but anyway, I've got comfrey coming, so I'm going to show you guys how to plant the comfrey. So. You guys are like, "Why are you talking about this stuff? It's inane." But, I looked up hoppers. Now I'm, getting tons of content about, rewilding and beaver. I'm gonna tell you something. When they introduced beavers to certain locations where they were having, soil erosion and problems in Scotland and in Ireland, 11, 12, 15 beavers, whatever the numbers were, um over the course of 5 years, they redeveloped the land in a way that, that stopped all those problems from happening. Beaver dams do something more than we even think about. They slow down water, and, You can build your own by hand things called check dams, which will allow for soil and silt to collect because it slows down the water at that point, and then maybe the water flows around it a different way. But if you build them up from things that have a tendency not to erode quickly, like rocks, um, you can really do your own land management in a way that will prevent your property from having issues. And one of my favorite ways to do construction for land, because believe it or not, you're doing a construction project when you plan your fields, you plan your acreage. Um, you start at the highest point and you build to the lowest point, and you just graduate on the way down because you want your water to move through your property slowly, and underground would be preferential. It's why a lot of people use culture, and I'm gonna talk about that. I'm gonna put some of those methods into practice when I relocate. I'm even gonna do it in the tomato bed. I'm gonna show you, okay, I'm gonna plant these logs down here. And you're not putting you have to use hardwood logs. You don't wanna use anything like that, or even coppice wood to fill in between, that, so a lot of the citrus branches and stuff will go in there. But you really are just creating a sponge in your soil. Trees have been growing out of trees, plants, moss, all that. Um, Nursery trees are all over the forest. This is not something that's new. So anyway, um, the whole point being is the logs being so deep under the mounds makes it so that everything that grows on the mound or around the mound has access to water year round because the logs soak it up, and they take a long time to decay or break down, decom decomp decompo decomposition and all of that, so, yeah. Oh, man, nobody wants to know this stuff. Gertie's garden catalog helped me. Oh, here we go. Bruce says, Gertie's garden catalog helped me when I bought my property on Ling Beach Island in New Jersey. I also unleashed thousands of praying manti. Yeah, tens of thousands of ladybugs. There you go. Neighbors loved it. You loved it. So did all your plants. People asked me for the spelling of comfrey. You spelled it properly, at least as far as I know. But English comfrey, specifically the one type, which is Bocking, Bocking, named after an English place, and 14 being like that happened to be the 14th plant that was being experimented on, of all the other comfreys from all over the place. They just went on a testing binge. It was really amazing. Yeah, this is actually true. Manufacturing, using 3D printers, manufacturing from the materials that are on the planet. Right now, I'm going to tell you something I think is going to surprise people. As much as I love sustainable living, and the idea of like just being your own inputs and not relying, there's one thing that people are doing right now that I'm not sold on. I'm not sold on the idea of these 3D printed houses. I'm just not. I would rather, like, people go back to the old days, back when they built barracks and things like that. They built Quonset huts, and I mean, the idea that we corrugated metal's not expensive. You can actually still buy Quonset huts, but they aren't considered a natural dwelling. Most building codes will prevent you from having them. I'm gonna use several of them as, like, maybe studio locations, because they also have unique properties, for sound. In fact, one of those Quonset huts was used way back in the 50s and 60s as a music studio. Like, a lot of people recorded there, like even Elvis at one point in time recorded there. I don't know where I'm getting all this. Anyway, but the Quonset hut is really a rigid structure that just doesn't react with storms, hurricanes, tornadoes, whatever. They seem to survive. So I think if you're trying to keep your animals in the best possible situation, that's another option for you too. So I just don't want my animals to be troubled. Bad Bunny asks, where are they going to put the toilets? I don't know. Honestly, don't. I'm looking forward to seeing what processes they have to resort to. Um, I think it's going to be interesting. Toe box like brains and beauty have I. But yeah, Depot, I think you spelled the comfrey properly. And again, it's Bocking 14. And again, I like to talk about permaculture. I know Low Spec Linux Gaming talks about it all as well. Hey, crazy white boy is out there on a break. It's worse than I anticipated, Dork. Ugh. Saw Mario Brothers Galaxy yesterday. Good stuff, particularly the MX4D. There you go. I accidentally got instead of regular 3D. Oh, I bet you that was fun. Good stuff. Yeah, there doesn't need to be anything to spoil in Mario Brothers Bad Bunny. Um, I kind of liked all the Easter eggs from all the games. Again, I grew up playing this stuff, so it was nice to revisit a childhood that's fondly remembered. Um, I mean, the happiest times in my life was doing that with my family and friends. So yeah, and I do have a free review out there. D Bud Martin just referenced. You can check it out. I actually thought it was fine. So Bad Bunny says Mario Brothers gave me motion sickness. I could see that. I mean, there's an awful lot going on all at once. Um, but again, it was pretty easy to follow. Um, like you said in my review, and again in the box office video I dropped this morning. Um, look, it's not a cinematic masterpiece by anybody's imagination, but for families, it's an 8 of 10. It gives you everything, and no kid's going to get born in there at an hour and 38 minutes. It's wonderfully short. The theater exhibitors are going to be able to rotate their theaters every 2 hours, which is the window they're aiming for. Um, I had just phenomenal seats, recliner, um, power recliner. It was very comfortable. Massive screen, excellent sound, and again, the Easter eggs were phenomenal. Cameos everywhere. It was a good time. Oh wow, Texas 84 worked at a cotton gin. I want to talk to you about that sometime. Really do. I like I like knowing all the other things. I want to learn every trade. Obviously, I mean, I want to learn more trades, let's say, than the ones I know. But I want to I want to talk about things that most people don't talk about, like electric culture and stuff like that. I want to talk about some of Nikola Tesla's inventions, stuff he never got credit for, other people got credit for. The garden channel is going to be more than gardening. Hey, KMG in the house. Kiss my grits. What's going on? It has been a minute, my friend. Says, hey, culture. Long time no chat. What are your thoughts on the new He-Man movie? I'm crazy pumped for it, my friend. You say I'm super excited because Motu was the core of my childhood and my favorite toys and cartoon, and you are going to love this movie. Okay. Amazon's got another winner. Okay. And again, we got to go back to the 80s. In order for things to be successful, we got to go back to the 80s. You got to. And Motu is a return to the 80s and the 90s specifically. The 90s, actually, even more specifically. But that cartoon spawned the merchandise. This is the other thing that studios don't get. And this is all because of Disney. Disney abandoned their merchandise when they stopped doing their retail stores. Remember the Disney stores? They had everything. Like they wanted to and did for a while have a lifestyle brand. I don't know that they really do anymore. Anyway, we are coming up on an hour, guys, so we got to wind this down. I just want to say I appreciate each and every one of you. Those of you that contributed as you could, I really appreciate it. Um, it's amazing. So, um, I always have the smartest audience. I appreciate all of you on whatever platform you're watching on, which is either X or the Green Machine, or of course the YouTube. Which again, I don't know what they're doing right now, but they really have messed with the algorithm. Something terrible. I worked on a shrimp boat, says Pat, in college. Big money, free shrimp. Yeah, I bet you it was big money. Reading books on the downtime, listening to the Rock of New Orleans radio. Wow. Now, see, I bet you that was a good time. 80s and 90s, as far as media went, probably the best decade. Some of the best television shows, ones people still watch today. Best cartoons, for sure. Best movies. Yeah. I think starting in 1984, it could be argued that for the next almost decade, um, from 1984 onward, you had through 94, easy, maybe even beyond. You had the best films, honestly. That got you through the entire Star Wars franchise. Well, no, that was 77. But yeah, I mean, if you started in the 80s, let's see, Jedi was 82. So no, you'd have to start back in the 70s. But the late 70s, early 80s into the 90s, generationally, everybody understood what was going on. The people at Disney, Iger. Anyway, I got to get out of here, guys. I really do. I need to take a break and get ready for my next show. Love y'all. Thanks for being here today. Be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya. For real. Go check out the box office video from this morning. You got time, and then I'll see you over at Midnight's Edge in the morning. When injustice strikes, I strike back.